Hi guys, and welcome to, well, something a bit different, Blitzkrieg 3, and this is an RTS available on PC, and well, I got mine through Steam. I'm not sure if you probably buy it from other places, well, maybe, although I think when you do go to the website, I think it does just point you towards basically Steam and places like that, you know, to buy the digital download. And this was, well, actually, it was given to me by the people that make the game. One of the marketing guys got in contact with me because of my YouTube channel, and basically gave me a code to download the game for free, and just asked that if I liked it, that I may make a video or something else about it. And that was it. Obviously, you know, I didn't have to do it. I could have, you know, just kept the game and whatever. But I do kind of quite like it. I've just put it on. This is a mission that's a bit further through the German storyline, and you've got 3 factions, as they call them in the game. And you know, let me just say before we start, you know, I'm not going to praise it. You know, I'm not going to praise it if I don't like it. You know, if there's something I don't like, I'll just say. I'm not an expert in RTS games. I do play them occasionally, and you know, I do enjoy them. I'm not particularly good at them, but you know, I do enjoy them more often than not. I put it on easy, just because, you know, like I say, I do enjoy playing them, but you know, I'm just not a huge fan. You know, I'm not, you know, particularly good at them. I'm very average at them. In fact, I've just finished playing Company of Heroes. In fact, well, Company of Heroes 2, and I enjoyed that as well. Struggled on a couple of missions. But yeah, I enjoyed it overall. And same with this. Now, somebody did mention to me that this one wasn't supposed to be as good as Blitzkrieg 1 and 2, and I honestly cannot comment. I'd never heard of the game before. In fact, before a few weeks ago, before I got sort of given a copy. In fact, it was when I was looking for something to play, and you know, I'd heard about Company of Heroes, went on Steam and downloaded that, and you know, Blitzkrieg 3 was one of the suggestions, you know, because it's similar sort of game, or Blitzkrieg 2 possibly at that point. It was maybe a month or two ago. But yeah, I've never played the first 2, so I can't comment whether this is any better or worse than those. Overall, as an RTS, I've not played any of the multiplayer elements of it, the skirmishes, and I've only had a couple of goes against the AI, which sort of simulates, obviously, you know, the multiplayer side of it. I've just been playing the single player. And you've got 3 factions. This is German, so this is a bit further on in the sort of German campaign, and what I've got to do here is basically defend this position, and then I've got to go and defend some engineers while they fix the railway tracks so they can move the large railway gun. And I've just put it on to sort of talk about it, and I'll show a couple of others as well. It doesn't quite work the same as some of the other RTSs I've played, where you sort of have base buildings that you build up, or you know, you can take control of, and you can then produce your troops. Normally through either a steady increase of supplies or whatever points you need to build things, or in the cases of sort of like Dawn of War 1. Yeah, I've played those quite a lot, the Dawn of War games. Not played the newest one though. Might have to pick that one up. But yeah, in the case of those, you sort of build on supply points, that sort of thing. And in Company of Heroes, a little bit kind of works like you'll capture a base and you'll get a steady increase of whatever points, ammunition, fuel, just manpower as well. And you know, or sometimes you don't capture a base, you'll just get a steady flow of it coming through. This one does work a bit differently. You basically, as you progress through the game, for doing the side missions and the sort of, I suppose, the main missions in a way, which are generally historically based. The side missions may be historically based, I think, but the actual main ones do seem to be historically based. And I do say based with sort of air quotes, because it's the same sort of thing. You know, they've taken something that happened in history and sort of done a bit of a take on it. But anyway. Yeah, so you unlock various units, vehicles and infantry, and some various, you know, there's some artillery, there's anti-tank guns, that sort of thing. And when you go into a mission, you'll have a certain amount of points. Everything costs points to actually use, or to put in, and you will have a certain amount of points, like you might have 500 points. So you basically put together an assault force of anything up to 500 points. And then as you progress through the level, there's various objectives to complete, and each time you complete an objective you'll get a boost of supply points. You might get 150 or 200 or whatever, and you can then call in reinforcements from the units that you have left. Now what I've done here is just popped it back to the map. I'm basically just recorded a load of footage and I'm going to chop and change about and see what it is. But this is your map, and you go through 3 phases of the war: early, middle and late. And your side missions are the smaller ones there, and you've got your research tab as well. So as you're progressing through, you will earn research points, which you can then use to upgrade various vehicles, your infantry, your support, and also the stuff for your base, because you have a base in each period as well, which people can attack. I've not done any of that, so I'm not even going to touch on that yet. But you basically set up defences around your base, and you can attack other people's. Now, like I say, these smaller ones, they are your side missions. You can see there, it gives you a description, what you've got to do, and then it will also show you your rewards. And obviously in early war, you've only got early vehicles, and then as you progress through, more and more things come in. And, you know, there's things in there that World of Tanks players will recognise a lot. You know, Tiger 2s, Panthers, Shermans, Pershings, Super Pershings, even the T-28 TD was in there, and, you know, various others as well. And then you've got your sort of the bigger ones. I think red one, well, the one with the crossed rifles is your multiplayer. The one that looks a bit like a Brain or a Nexus or something is the AI skirmishers. And the big one there with the big star, which is red at the minute, I think I've got to do a different one before that one. They are your sort of main missions. And again, I'm just going through, just basically clicking on a few things, showing you what you can and can't get. I've just recorded myself looking at it. And you also have different commanders as well, and different commanders have different bonuses. As you level them up, you'll receive different rewards. They also have different abilities with regards to your support, as you can see down the right hand side with the various planes, attack planes, etc. There's bonuses and there's sort of buffs and debuffs to them with the various commanders here. You can see there I've chosen Rommel because, well, you get the most tanks with him. And what else was I going to say? But yeah, like I say, you've just sort of got your various commanders. So as you go through, you do your side missions, you get your rewards for that, you do your main missions, and they will progress you through the time periods. You do have 3 factions, like I said, and you can swap and change between the 3 of them, sort of whenever you wish, really. Now, one of the things I do like about this game is you can be very tactical, and I've had to sort of change my way of thinking with RTSs now. Not every RTS is like this, but something I've often found with them is you can kind of, with a lot of them, there's almost like your foolproof way of doing it, and that is basically overwhelming force. And it's, you know, you figure out what your objective basically is for that map or whatever, and a lot of the time you can just build up your forces, defend your base or defend whatever while you're doing it, and just use overwhelming force to just crush and destroy the enemy through the campaigns. And to a degree, it's the same with Company of Heroes as well. You know, you can try and use tactics on that. Maybe you can do what you can on this. But one of the things I like about this, which you've probably seen me doing in the earlier bits, is pausing it a lot by pressing spacebar. And I didn't find out until I'd done the American campaign and was partway through the German one. But you can pause it by hitting space, and you can then issue orders to your units on the ground, which is very, very useful. Very noisy motorbike going past outside, I do apologise. And yeah, so basically, you know, in situations, and the thing I like about it is you can use, especially on the open maps, it's a bit harder on the city maps, but on the very open maps you can use snipers, which have got very good view range, or some sort of recon squad to basically try and scout out. And the line of sight is very true, so, you know, hills and bumps will hide things, trees will hide things as well. And you know, you can use the units to scout out ahead, you sneak up, and you can, depending on the unit, scouts especially, and I've just got a recon unit with the Russians, and they can spot enemies and the enemies might not spot them. So you can then establish what you want to do, and as you know, there's quite a few you know, tank destroyers that can shoot at stuff. They've got a much further range than like your heavy tanks or your mediums or whatever. And you can even set ambushes. You can draw the enemy in. So if you had a point where it was between two hills almost or something, you know, you could actually set up TDs within range. You hold Alt when you've got a unit selected to see what its actual view range is, and you could set them up at a choke point either side, you know, hidden behind, even behind buildings. Hidden behind buildings, the enemy would not see them until they actually came past the buildings. So you could set up TDs, and you can actually choose to put them. You can see there's an enemy tank there, and he's got sandbags around him. You can do that to your vehicles as well. So you do that, and then you send your troops out. You know, maybe fire a couple of shots, get their attention, pull back, and the enemy will follow you through into a trap. You know, you can pause it and send your TDs. You know, while the heavy tank sits there and soaks up the damage, you can send your TDs around on the flank to come up over a hill, and you know, really think tactically. And that's something that I've really had to get into the way of thinking. I've sucked at this pretty bad on a couple of missions. And as you can see here, this is me sort of calling in the reinforcements. Now, yeah, like I say, I've had to sort of think differently for this one. But, you know, again, I have to say I'm not an RTS expert. I'm not a big fan of them. I don't play a lot of them. All I can say, honestly, is that I have enjoyed this game. You know, there have been some instances where it's not been particularly stable. It has crashed on me a few times. Not when I first started playing it. Interestingly, it was actually after the last update, or the last couple of updates. It does crash every now and again. So there is, you know, that with the stability a little bit. But you know, I honestly have enjoyed it. But as you can see, I called in a Vesper. And I've called in a Hetzer as well. Now, the Vesper on this classes as a TD, but it can do plunging fire, you know, like an artillery. And you can see there, I've got some of my troops. I've made them lay down. I don't know if it makes them harder to see. It definitely makes them harder to hit. And I've just snuck them up to the edge. Now, they can see the enemy cannot see them. And my Vesper can now use their line of sight to drop some shells on the head. So that's what I'm going to do. But yeah, tactically speaking, not brilliant at times. I didn't realise that for some reason I must have still caught and still had them selected. Now, that is something as well. Occasionally, when you click on another unit to select them, sometimes for some reason it doesn't deselect the old unit. I've only ever had it happen a couple of times, but it has happened. It's caused me to lose a pretty powerful unit twice actually. So yeah, there is that, some, you know, occasionally, and sometimes because you can get your troops to dig trenches, which is quite useful, and quite often, especially if you're going towards, say, you've got to capture a checkpoint or something, there's normally going to be troops and vehicles there. So what I quite often do is try and just sneak up until I can just see the edge of it, or maybe see some of the guys that are there. Dig a couple of trenches, put my troops in, especially the machine gun units, fantastic for taking out infantry. Maybe go up with a tank or two, get their attention, and then you can do a reverse move with your vehicle, so they'll back up, literally back up, keeping the strongest armor forward, and you draw the enemy troops back, and you know, your other guys that you've laid in wait will just absolutely annihilate them. So that's quite a nice little tactic as well. The digging trenches. Now, also, some of your standard troops can clear minefields, and they can clear tank traps as well. So that's quite nice. But yeah, I mean, like I say, all I can say about this is, you know, tell you a little bit about it, and just say that, you know, I have enjoyed it. It's pissed me off as well at times, but it's pissed me off in a good way. You know, because the missions have been challenging, or you know, it's taken a couple of thoughts. Sometimes you know, I've failed the mission the first time round, but then obviously you go back at it and you know what to expect, so you know what reinforcements to call in. You know, it's because I judged wrong and called in the wrong type of reinforcements. But I'm just sort of showing you little bits of the game as I've gone through. Obviously this is another part of the German campaign. I think I've got a Russian one recorded. I don't think I've got any American ones recorded. Although I think I've finished it, or I might have one more mission to do. But I think I've got a Russian one as well, possibly recorded. In fact, yeah, here you go. This is an early Russian one, one of the side missions that I've sort of started off, and I've kind of put this out. It does show you a little bit of the tactics, and it'll also show you, you know, the pause, issue orders, I've got to basically defend this location. I don't know how long I've got before the enemy troops start arriving, so pause it, issue the orders, unpause it, let them carry it out, you know, and take it from there. It buys you time to have a tactical analysis of the battlefield and basically make your choices from there, and found it very, very useful. Now, something else I possibly recommend as well is each faction seems to have its own tutorial mission, and there's been a couple that sort of shown you stuff that the other ones didn't necessarily show you. I felt like I was repeating it at first, but then I thought, actually, I don't think I saw that when I did the American one, etc. So maybe like do the tutorial campaign for one faction, then switch to another. You know, you know, it can't hurt anyway. But yeah, you can switch faction at any point, and actually I've got a bit that one with the gun, the German one at the beginning, that first mission I think that you saw me on. Got a bit fed up with that. Kept failing at the same point towards the end, and I'm just trying to figure it out really now, because you're on kind of a time limit. Although I'm not sure if you see what I've done there. Basically, I've put, as you can see, I'm moving the tanks up. I'm going to put those so that they put themselves into a bit of I can't remember what they call it, basically bunker down or something, hunker down. And I've put some machine gunners in the building as well, because the buildings give you obviously a bonus. Now, what was I saying? Nope, completely gone. Hang on a minute. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Figured it out now, remembered. About the objectives. Now, on the main missions, you have main objectives, secondary objectives, and achievements. And you'll get rewards for the main, rewards for secondary, and rewards for doing the achievements. Now, I've always been under the impression that I have to do all the secondary and achievements before completing the final part of whatever the main mission is. Now, it's not all, you know, you might have several objectives for your main, even for your secondary, which only become apparent as you progress through the mission. And I was under the impression I had to do the achievements and all secondary ones before completing whatever the final part of the main mission is, which is understandable, which is what you normally have to do in every other game. But I'm not sure with this, because earlier on I was doing a mission and I'd not quite done the one of the secondary parts, but the problem was that I'd got AI friendlies with me, and they were hurtling towards doing the final part of the main bit, and some of my troops were going there, and I was basically just sending my guys off to do this last part, because it was, you know, far away. My vehicles weren't exactly quick, the ones that I got, and I had to use those anyway because they were tougher. And it completed the main part before I actually managed to complete that secondary part, but it almost carried on going, let me finish the secondary part, and then finished the mission. So that's something I'll have to look into. But again, I'm just sort of going through it and giving you an idea of what the game sort of is, my thoughts on it, and you know, I have enjoyed it. If you're looking at this and you've played Blitzkrieg 1 and 2 and thought, well, actually I don't like that feature, I don't like that feature, blah blah blah, fair enough. I've not played those two, so I can't really comment on them. I can't say if this is better or worse. All I can say is honestly I've enjoyed it. Even if I know I got it for free, even if I'd have bought it, I'd have enjoyed it. Sometimes you buy a game and you think, God, I wish I hadn't bought this. Other times, you know, you might get a game for free and think, yeah, I've enjoyed that, but I wouldn't have bought it. You know, I would have been happy to buy this, and I have enjoyed it. I would have liked to have played a demo first, and in fact I think there is a demo on Steam for it now. I could be wrong on that one, but I think there is one on there. And in fact, this mission I'm just about to use some tactics, which I don't normally do. I'm basically going to I'm going to do a two-prong. I've got to attack the other side of the bridge, and I've held out for a certain amount of time. And yeah, as you can see here, I've set up infantry with a squad of, or a unit of sort of tank, what do they call them on this? Tank destroyers? No, not tank destroyers. Oh, I can't remember anyway, but they're basically tank killers, tank killing unit. They've got those anti-tank unit or anti-tank squad. I can't believe that slipped my mind. They've got those anti-tank rifles. This is early war though, so that's why I've got smaller tanks. I think I've got T-70 light tank. I can't remember what that other one is. It's another light tank. Cannot think what it is off the top of my head. I've got an SU-76. Yep, and I've got a ZIS something or other, this little TD. It looks a bit like the UE-57 from the French line in World of Tanks. small little armoured body with just a gun shield with the guys sat on the back of it, literally. I've not got that in this one, but I have got another tank. I won't say it's an A40, but I could be completely wrong. But anyway, you see there I've come across infantry. Now, infantry, yeah, they can be absolute shits for tanks. They carry anti-tank hand grenades, but they've got to get close to use them. Now, unfortunately, they do, you know, do a fair whack of damage to your lighter tanks, and they can really wear down even, you know, the more heavily armoured tanks. They can just wear away at them. So, some of the tanks obviously have machine guns in the hull, coaxials in the turret, some don't. You've really got to be wary with infantry and tanks, and sometimes you're better off with infantry in the urban environments rather than vehicles at first to try and clear the way, especially if there's anti-tank units hidden in buildings. They can really bite you in the arse. But as you can see here, I've got to attack that other side of the railway bridge. Not a very complex or hard mission, this one quite easy. So I'm doing a two-pronged attack. I'm doing an armoured attack through what is essentially the front of this place, thinking that's where, you know, if there's going to be any armour, that's where it's going to be. And doing a troop attack through the back. Now, however, there is an armoured car there, so I'm going to take my units, I'm going to make them lie down, my infantry, which makes them harder to hit. I'm going to get my anti-tank unit, I'm going to get them on the case, basically, of the armoured car. He should blow up in a second. And my armoured unit, I'm going to go for that anti-tank gun, which is dangerous. That could really give me a kicking. But if I can get in close, then they'll not just shoot at it with the guns, they'll actually use the machine guns as well, which will get rid of the crew much quicker. And I will get my machine gun units and armoured cars over there to give them a good kicking as well. And that'll get rid of them without taking any damage. And in fact, I don't think I actually lost a unit, so there you go. But there you go, Blitzkrieg 3. Like I say, I mean, wholeheartedly I have enjoyed it. Like I say, it has had a few sort of stability issues over the last week since a couple of updates. That's that little Zis thing. Zis, whatever it's called. But yeah, it has had the odd stability issue. I don't know how it compares to others, but all in all, you know, sort of from an RTS layman's point of view, I have wholeheartedly and honestly enjoyed playing this game. Especially the fact that you've got the 3 campaigns, one for, you know, one for Soviets, one for Germans, and one for Americans and English. So there you go. Like I say, enjoyed it, but there you go. I hope you've enjoyed that video. You know, it's there on Steam to give it a go, and you know, if you've been looking for something new to play, maybe that's the one. But anyway, we're back with another video at some point, maybe even later today, or maybe even straight after this one, depending on which one uploads first. But anyway, if not, have a great weekend, and I'll be back Sunday, and until then, take care out there, and I'll catch you next time. See you later.